Oh, hey, everyone, it's Shooter. Hey, we're just going to go through a quick things here. I think we might be turning, but I don't know necessarily how deep that's going to go. But at the end of the presentation, please review our disclosures. Starting off with the S&P, we've now broadened with the count. So maybe today, even though we've bounced a little bit already at 436.20, now that has a lot to do with what happened with the dollar. We were pushing downward and the dollar sort of hit resistance and backed off down to, about 20 cents down to 120.86. And ironically, we get that little bounce in that candle today. So we're starting to see that micro connection between the dollar and the S&P, which usually indicates we're going into a volatile period. Now, taking a look at the NASDAQ, I now have a lower count, maybe to 335, which is the main reason I wanted to do this, because FANGs pretty much have held up, and tech is pretty much held up. But now on XLK, I've got a count lower to 157. So, looking at where, the market may be turning here, I'm probably a little bit early. I actually might be premature because even with the underlying weakness, however, RSI right now, considering where we are, we've put in this low. This would be the kind of spot where we could roll right over and put in a 30 RSI, which would be consistent with that 335. So taking a look at the Dow now, we haven't flipped on our count here. We're still looking for the upside. I can't see any reason, to get short on this yet. However, we break below that 50-day, this count could flip to the bearish side. Just keeping you in mind of that. Now, ironically, this morning, IWM was the weak sister, is the weak sister. However, my count now says we're going long. Now, this is the crazy part about Elliott Wave, is it tends to read the emotions and how we're flipping. So we've seen some seller exhaustion here today on IWM. Now, yesterday, we had some large lot buyers on calls, if they're in those positions still at this point. I haven't looked, but it was about 8.9 million. So I would be surprised if they've held them through this heat. I would think they would have covered around 185, 184 if it started turning against them, just because that'd be a little too much heat. But let's take a look at SOX. The count has not broken down, so we're still up there. So, we got a mix here. We have XLK, the NASDAQ, IWM, and the Dow, then we have the SPY, which is like in the middle, we're broadening. Then we have the DIA, which is marginal to the downside. SOX is marginal to the downside. Now, XLK is also a little weak, but we're looking at 168, and then maybe we bounce back up. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. So we get back up to that 171. I would probably be trimming if I was long there, because if we don't continue to push, we need a breakout here really for markets to hold to the upside, I think. So we need XLK, XLY, and SOX to turn around and get bullish for us here. Now, we break down below the 8-day on any of these, we're going to look for extended weakness. Now, realize with SOX, we've got a gap down at 160 or 461, so it's a little ways down there. Then we got another unfilled gap at 432. So we come off here, there would be no reason, and if you look at the sort of the mound or my mound thesis or how it sort of looks, this is sort of like what mound 1 looks like. And, this would sort of be like what mound 2 looks like. The ironic thing, it comes right back to where that gap fill is there. So, even though, one thing about Elliott Wave is the counts are reflective of buyer and seller's sentiment. So when the fear of loss comes in and you have these flush sells, there's really nothing better that measures that other than the technicals with it inside Elliott Wave, not just the wave counts. So that's, when we want to look, like I'll bring in a overlay here with fib extensions on this particular chart. We're squeezing here. We're not breaking down. We need the Fibonacci's off of that Bollinger Band to break down for us to break down. It's not there yet. If we come back and we look at XLK and throw in the same fib study, again, we're still squeezing. So at this point, even though I'm seeing this on the count, it's not reflective in the other indicators yet. So I'm probably a tad bit early. And if I come in and throw those fibs up on XLY as well, we're not quite as skinny and slendering there, so we could broaden pretty quick, but we're still turning down and turning up. So volume's still squeezing a little bit according to the fib extensions there. So, it's not Armageddon here. It's just a retrace as far as I can see. However, this is a technical change, and I wanted to make you folks aware of that. Great trading. Until next time.